Okay, good morning everyone. A very warm welcome to the University of Wolverhampton Open Day. Thank you for joining us this morning for the talk on what it's like to be a mature student. We'll just give it a minute or so before we make a start to allow everyone to join us. Okay, I can see people joining the room. So good morning to you all. A very warm welcome to the University of Wolverhampton Open Day, and thank you for joining us this morning for the talk on what it's like to be a mature student. We'll just give it a minute or so just to allow everyone to join us before we make a start. Okay, so as I say, good morning everyone. Very warm welcome to you all and welcome to the University of Wolverhampton Open Day. So thank you for joining us this morning for the talk on what it's like to be a mature student. I'm joined today by my colleagues Gina Whittaker and Jackie MacDonald, who work in our Gateway team, and also by two of our current students, Shaquille Millington and Jeff Thompson, who are going to be sharing their experience of what it's like studying at the University of Wolverhampton. Before I hand over to the team, I'd like to briefly cover how you can get the most out of today's talk and today's event. So you'll notice at the bottom of your screen, if you're working off a laptop or a desktop computer, that there's a Q&A icon, and there's also a chat icon as well. So we would encourage you to post as many questions as you have in that Q&A channel, and we'll answer those either by direct message or we'll answer those that haven't been answered during the session at the end. If you are using a mobile or a tablet, then that Q&A icon will be at the top of your screen rather than at the bottom. And what we would just say is to remember that Zoom is a public platform, so please don't post anything private or confidential in the Q&A or the chat screens. Today's session is being recorded, so you'll be able to access the session after today if you wish to watch it again. So we'll send that to you following today's event. And then following the talk, we have our Open Day Live webpage. So if you haven't been to that yet, that's www.wlv.ac.uk/Open Day Live. And that has all the details on the programme of talks and workshops and all the different activities taking place throughout the day, which also includes a live stream on our campus. And the opportunity for you to speak directly to members of staff from across the university, find out more about our courses, but also talking to staff from various departments such as accommodation, admissions, finance, student support and wellbeing. We have representatives from our careers and workplace team, our students union, and also our international team as well. So as I say, you can find all the information on the programme of activities by going to that wlv.ac.uk/Open Day Live page. Okay, so without further ado, I'll hand over to Gina for this morning's session, and enjoy.
Hello everybody, my name's Gina. I'm one of the Education Guidance Advisors within the Gateway, and today I've got two students with me who will give you a wave. Shaquille, if you want to unmute yourself and say hello, that's absolutely fine. And I've got, so
hello everyone, my name's Shaquille. I study at the Wolverhampton University. I do drama with QTS and I'm in my third year.
Okay, thank you, Shaquille. I've also got Jeff with me today. So Jeff, if you'd like to unmute yourself and just say hello.
So yeah, I'm Jeff Thompson. I'm a third year cybersecurity student. So yeah, I'm the geek of the group.
Thank you, Jeff. Right, during this session today, we are going to be using the chat function very briefly during the icebreaker. But any other questions that you may have, please use the Q&A function where one of my colleagues is looking out for those questions. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what it's like to be a student, a mature student at the University of Wolverhampton. Okay, and over the session we're going to tell you what it's like, and also give you some of our top tips to help you get through those first couple of years. The first couple of years can be a little bit overwhelming if you've been out of education for a while. So this is your chance to use the chat feature. Can you put in the chat what age you think is the oldest student to graduate from the University of Wolverhampton? Let me see. Okay, let's see what we've got. Somebody says 24, 90, 75, 50, 78, 65, 82, 40. Okay, 90 and 80. There's some actually fantastic guesses there. Actually, the oldest student to graduate from the University of Wolverhampton was actually 88. Okay, so if you are over the 25 plus group, you're not on your own. A lot of students are over the age of 25. So my next question to you is, what do you think the percentage of mature students are at Wolverhampton? 30%, 25, 75, 45, 43, 40. Some very, very good guesses there. That's brilliant. Actually, the percentage is 40%. So 40% of our students are classed as mature and being over the age of 25. Some fantastic guesses there, well done. So here's the answers. So one thing you need to think about if you are over the age of the 25, you're not alone, and you will actually find that some of the things that you are concerned about, you'll have in common with your fellow younger students. And what you might find as well, you have picked up life skills throughout your working life that are actually really useful for managing your studies. And this could be either through managing deadlines or budgeting, managing your family life as well. So you're used to juggling many things that may be going on in your life. So I've already answered this one, but what skills do you think you could bring as a student? Put them in the chat, and I've already given you a few answers there. Life skills. Okay, somebody said they didn't understand about the 40%. 40% of students are classed as mature. Sorry to bring that one back. Communication skills, experience, time management, organisation skills, knowledge and skills, experience, time management, work experience. Yeah, so if you already worked in a job, so experience. Mature skills, yes. Good communication skills. Or an organisation, yes, those are fantastic skills there that actually transfer into being a student. And some students have concerns that how will they get on with teamwork or group work within their assignments. If you've been in a working environment, you are used to working with people perhaps you don't have anything in common with, or somebody perhaps you might not have something in common with. So you're used to bringing in skills that will help you get the task done. And it's similar to when you study as well. So here's some of the other ones I've come up with: negotiation and working to deadlines. So I'm actually going to take the screen off share now, so you can see my two students. And both Jeff and Shaquille are going to talk about what their journey was into higher education and what their experiences are. Jeff, would you like to go first?
Certainly. So as you can tell, I'm an extra mature student. So I've actually had quite a long working life. So I worked for 30 odd years. I worked for big government departments. The last 5 years or so of work, I started to think to myself, what am I doing here? It wasn't something I enjoyed anymore. Yeah, I didn't feel fulfilled in my job. I didn't feel fulfilled in life, really. Since I left school back in the day, and there were still schools then, I've always wanted to become a teacher because I've always enjoyed imparting knowledge to people and really passing knowledge, education, really, geeing them up and passing it on. So I couldn't go into teaching because I didn't have a degree. So I made the quite life-changing decision to give up quite a well-paying job as a service delivery manager and to go back to university. It was a scary thought. There was all sorts of things going through my mind. I've got a young family. How would I be able to support them, what have you? I'm just going to cut to the end at the moment. It's the best choice I ever made, and I can guarantee to all mature students that you have got the skills, you've got the life skills, you've got the education, you've got the knowledge to really, really succeed at whatever you do at university. I wouldn't change a decision I made in any way, shape, or form. It's as I said, the best thing I've ever done. So I started university. I mean, the first couple of weeks I was thinking, I'm a bit older than everyone else. What have I got in common? Do you want to know what you got in common? You're all there on the same course to learn the same thing. That's what brings you all together, and it's a fantastic experience. I'm called the grandfather of the group now. I prefer father because grandfather makes me feel a bit old, but yeah, because I've got that life skills and life experience behind me, and they tend to come up to me and say, what would you do in this situation? WhatsApp chat earlier. I've been giving interview skills and interview advice to people because I've got that life skills. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. So I recommend anyone who's thinking about becoming a mature student to do it. So there are financial challenges, and I'm sure there's all sorts of talks about the finances today. Don't let it worry you. Don't let student loans worry you. It really is worthwhile, and I'm a so much better person. I'm happier. So the end of it is I've set up my teacher training for next year. So I've got another year. So I've finished my degree this year. Another thing, which I'm going to my average scores across all 3 years have been 88%. So I'm on track for a first class degree because, and I think it is due to being a mature student, I know how to prioritize my time. I know how to plan things. I'm never going to hand in a deadline or an assessment on the night because I like to plan and I like to know what I'm doing throughout the time. So you have got those skills. Honestly, believe in yourself. You will succeed, and you will succeed well. I mean, I suspect that most mature students, if they put the effort in, and it is all about effort, will come out with first class because you do know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I've got my teaching set up, and I'm looking forward to it, really.
Jeff, I think we've got a few questions, if that's okay, from some
yeah,
people.
Certainly. So it was a well-paying job. I won't give figures, but it was very well paid. I knew I was going to suffer from financial loss because I would go from there to there. Plan ahead. Do you really need Netflix and Disney Plus and what have you? So just prioritize what you need to do. So it's all about prioritization of money. So student loan system, everyone says, it's not very good. However, as a mature student, you get your maintenance loan. Then you get, if you're in charge of young kids, which I am, and what have you, you get something for the kids. And then if you've got a spouse who's not working, you get something for them. It all adds up. So my one advice to you is to claim everything you can do. So
one final question from you, Jeff. How old were you when you decided to study? can ask. Never ask anybody their age.
It's fine. I was 48 when I decided to do it, so it was quite a late decision in life.
Brilliant. Thank you. Shaquille, would you like to tell me about, tell the people about your story into higher education?
Yeah, sure. So for me, didn't really enjoy school. Passed and got a few okay grades, but for me, education really just annoyed me to the max at that point in my teenage years, and I really didn't enjoy it. So I was looking forward to going into work. Luckily, I got an apprenticeship, and I really enjoyed that. Got some qualifications in that, became a fitness trainer, and I just really enjoyed my time there. My contract ended, so I had to transition into different jobs. And from then on, I've found myself in different jobs, job after job, and couldn't really settle. And in a lot of the jobs I had, I found that I just didn't really enjoy it. I thought, wow, is this what I've got to look forward to for the rest of my life? Just struggling to find a job which I actually enjoy. And when you go into work and you're not enjoying the job, it's very, I'm sure a lot of you would understand, it's very difficult. And it's, yeah, it's just more than a job. It's a nightmare, put it that way. So I just thought, well, I thought to myself, what do I like to do and what is stable? And I just thought, I like drama. I can teach, I can do that till whatever age. So I thought, why not be a drama teacher? So I was apprehensive about applying for university, as probably everyone else is at this age, but I just thought I got to go and do it. As I say, I was really put off education when I was a teenager, but I've grown up a bit now. Maybe I can handle it a bit. So I applied. I'm here now, and my experience is that similar to Jeff's in a way. Like when you go to university, when you're a bit older, you see a lot of people making mistakes that you've already made. So it makes university a lot easier, to be honest. Jeff mentioned deadlines, university work, just general life experience. A lot of people are going through that and university at the same time. So it is very difficult for them. But for me, it was very easy to navigate because I have all these experiences already. And I've already been in a few tough jobs prior to that. So that built me up to make university somewhat of a breeze for me. I'm not saying it's not been stressful, but it's definitely been easier than what I thought it was going to be, because a lot of people are apprehensive because they probably think, oh, I've not been in school for a long time. Will I be able to pick it up, or what's going to happen, or will I fit in? And it's when you get there, it's not that scary as with anything really. So yeah, I'm involved now. I didn't find the age gap too severe. I really enjoyed interacting with younger and older people, and everyone's in a similar situation as Jeff mentioned before. And yeah, it's not that scary as I once thought.
Okay, thank you, Shaquille. Now, I'm going to share you my story because actually I've been a mature student as well. My journey into higher education began way back. I was in my mid-20s. I worked for an emergency service, and as part of a day release, I completed my BTEC. And then took 20 years out. I didn't go anywhere near education. And then as I got, never ask a woman her age, but I will tell you, I was in my mid-40s, I was in my early 40s. And then it felt like unfinished business. There was something I hadn't done. I was working for the university at that point. And so I thought, okay, I've always wanted to do a degree. How can I tackle it? How's the path of least resistance to do it? So I looked at my work experience, what I'd been doing. So I'd been working within administration up until my 40s. So the easiest way to do it was to go through a business management degree. So my BTEC hadn't quite got enough UCAS tariff points. However, because of my experience, that gave me a course on the that got me a place on the business management course. Now, I'll be honest, there were challenges going back into higher education after 20 odd years, but I had a lot of support from the university. The tutors were really, really helpful. I had support from the student advisors and also the academic skills workshops as well to help me bring my skills up. But my journey didn't quite end there. As I was going through my degree, I studied it part-time as well as juggling the family. I decided to change careers somewhat, and part way through I decided I was going to look into be a careers advisor. So I finished off my undergraduate degree, and then I took a year out, and then I studied careers guidance, and then took a year out, did all the student loan, I did all that, so I understand what it's like to work on a budget. And that was quite interesting because I finished my dissertation in lockdown, so that was a challenge itself. But all the support I had throughout my studies has been fantastic. I had a lot of skills that I felt I brought to the table as a mature student. I'm used to juggling a family. I'm used to juggling deadlines at work. So I found myself, I was quite organised, and I'm perhaps like Jeff. I didn't leave my assignments to the last minute to hand in, because I was always thinking, well, what if something happens at home? What if the children are ill or somebody in the family's ill and I've got to hand this assignment in? So I have to admit, a week before the deadline, I would always have something that I could hand in case something quite went wrong. At least I thought it would help me. I've got something to go on if something didn't quite go right. So after that, I've come back to university, work for the university. Am I going to do any future study? I don't think so, but you never say never, because life is about lifelong learning. When I left school, it was a case of that's it, you're in one job and you don't change after that. Schooling's done, but it is different now. Things have changed. So that's been my story into higher education, and in some ways I'd wished I'd done it earlier, but was I ready for it when I was earlier? There was no way I would have been ready for it. I think at the age of 18, I think people develop at different times and they come to higher education at different times. But there is help and support out there for matures. You're not on your own. Okay. So moving on now, we're going to move on to what are our top tips. Okay. So our top tips. Now, one of the things I found when I moved into higher education, it was like I couldn't have things all over the place. I had to organise myself. It was like being in work where you have different folders for different things that you're doing. And I started off with an A4 lever arch folder and with dividers between each lecture, so I could find out where my notes were. But I quickly found, as I was going through my studies, I was running out of space in the house to store all these folders. So I embraced technology, And this is by no means a recommendation, but I found myself using things like Lecture Notes, Android, and Noteshell. Things about these apps is that you can download PowerPoints, turn them into PDFs, and then with a stylus, I could actually write on my tablet and put my own notes into the PowerPoints. As I'm very much a doer when I'm learning, I found the process of handwriting helped me to learn. So, Jeff, what about your tips about organising yourself?
Yeah, so it's similar to your tips, really. So rather than using lecture notes or something like that, I actually use OneNote, which is part of the Microsoft suite of programs. Again, like you, so I've got all my modules separated into a separate section, and I've got each of my sections subdivided into pages, so it's very easy to find anything. I find that actually organizing your notes and writing it on yourself, again, like you, I use stylus or keyboard, writing it down on top of things just makes me remember. It's like having keywords there, just to, like flashcards to make you remember things. I mean, the thing I would say most of all is whatever application you use, or if you use paper and pen, do make as many notes as possible. It really will help you when it comes to exams or assignment times to remember the things you need to remember. So do organize your notes so they're nice and clear, and make copious notes, really.
Okay. Shaquille, what's your top tips?
Yeah, on organisation to do with your lectures, I'd say something similar. I don't personally do a lot of writing because my handwriting and writing skills are not the best. So I do embrace technology. I just do it simply. I still got a memory stick which I store all my stuff on in just individual folders. So when I go there, I can just know what's what. It's all sorted, color coded, worded in a specific way, so I know what's what. And with your schedule as well, I think having organized folders along with your day-to-day schedule helps, so you know what's what on each day, and you can get to grips with and tell your mind that, okay, this day is that, next day is something else, because you do have different modules back to back in some courses. So scheduling your day is very good with your organization as well.
Okay. Jeff, moving on, obviously organising your family is critical. What's your top tips for managing your study, family, and your work?
So I've obviously got a young family, so I've got 2 young children under the age of 10 and a wife as well. One thing you don't want to do, so I like to work hard and study hard, but you can't neglect your young family either. So I tend to break up my day into blocks because all work and no play makes me a very dull person. So between 9 and 10, if I've got a lecture, I'll do that, and then I'll have a couple of hours off to be with the kids, play with the kids. Particularly during the pandemic, I was learning with the kids, and then I'll have another hour for workshop, then I'll have an hour break to do a hobby or something, and then another hour to do some assignment or something. So it is absolutely vital that you don't neglect your family. Communication is key because they know that you're going to be busy, but they know that you're still there for them. So make sure that you still talk to them, make sure you're still there for them. Evenings, weekends, I try and leave for family time. Just make sure that they know that you're not dismissing them or getting rid of them. Obviously, if you're on important calls like lectures and what have you, you need to make sure that they can be quiet. They might go upstairs or something. So it's just all about organisation and communication, really.
Shaquille, thank you, Jeff. Shaquille, what's your top tips?
Yeah, so yeah, I'd just say something similar to Jeff. I don't think I'm as qualified as Jeff because I don't have a wife and kids, but I'm a bit more free. But I would say that if you are all work, no play, your closest people around you do get a bit knocked and can feel pushed away. So I would say it is important to make time for them as well as you're working. It's vital for your life in general.
Okay. Now, my top tips is that I had a family, and communication is key. It was a case of, no, mummy needs to do this now. But obviously, I would always have time to cook the tea, put the kids to bed. And obviously, it's sharing childcare as well with the other care provider in your family. So there was a lot of communication around that. There were times when perhaps I needed a quiet spot somewhere nice and quiet to do my studies. So sometimes I would pack up my laptop and head over to my mum's where it was quieter. One of my friends as well would sometimes say, well, come over to my house, come and sit in my dining room. I'll do you a cup of coffee and I'll do you a cup of tea. I'll pass you food and you can do your studies. It depends how you study. Some people like quiet, complete quiet. I'm not. I need that little bit of background buzz to concentrate, but sometimes I needed quiet. Making sure I had time for the kids and making sure I had time for their activities as well was important. So, but weekends, I would say, because I was working, I was pretty much studying through the weekends, but I would always have set a time slot to do shopping for my mum or doing the kids activities. So one of the other tips I would suggest, get support from your family, find somewhere to study, but also if you're working whilst you're studying, see whether you can arrange flexi time or annual leave to support your study. I found that critical coming up to dissertation time. I took two weeks off around when my dissertation was due. I didn't want to be at work and trying to juggle the dissertation at the same time. So looking after yourself, I mean, everybody's different on what they do, but it is important to look after yourself. Make sure you get rest and don't burn yourself out with studying and your family commitments. And I know it's tricky. Keep up with your hobbies, especially sport, as exercise is actually a really good stress reliever. Now, during my course, I took up adult ballet. Now, I'm never going to be Margot Fontaine, but actually it was really good for being in the moment, a bit like mindfulness. And I found that really, really helpful. Also recognise when you need a rest. I mean, sometimes something might not stick in my mind for my studies. So I'd go out and mow the lawn and do something else for about half an hour and then come back to it. It's important to recognise you need that break, but don't keep pushing your studies away, else you're in danger of falling behind. Make sure you access the free self-help resources from the Student Wellbeing Centre and also the digital mental health wellbeing service for all our students. Jeff, have you? What are your top tips to look after yourself?
So similar to some of your tips, really. I mean, the most important thing that I found is to organise your time. However, having said that, if you're really not feeling it, you wake up and you're feeling, oh God, I'm not feeling it. Don't push yourself. Go and do something else first. Go and do a hobby to cheer yourself up. At some point during that day, you'll think, oh, now I'm ready to do this work. And you can go back to it in a better frame of mind and you'll do a far better job. So if you're really not feeling it, don't push yourself. Just wait until you are feeling a bit better. And looking after yourself is incredibly important because you don't want to burn yourself out, as already been said. You need to make sure you're well and healthy. If you are getting a bit stressed, as Gina said, go and do a hobby, go and take yourself off and do something else. Don't just work yourself into the ground. Don't study into the ground. It's just striking that nice happy balance. You will get busy times. You'll get slightly less busy times. Just be yourself, be happy with yourself, and take care of yourself. Really.
Shaquille, what's your top tips for looking after yourself?
Yeah, I would second everything that's been. Oh, sorry. I would say second that everything that's been said so far is vital. Ultimately, you need to know yourself and know what you're like. Because if you're not in the best mood, as Jeff said, sometimes you can't do work. So you might need to take a break. You might need to do something creative. You might need to go to the gym, whichever. But for me personally, what I do is I do like to train. I do like to eat good, and I do like to rest, because if I don't get my sleep, I'm a grumpy man, and I don't like to do anything and just get very aggy with everyone. So I think making sure you have a good sleep schedule, no matter what your circumstances are, if you can get a good sleep, I think you'll be well prepared to do a lot of things.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, Jeff, attendance on lectures, your top tips here.
Certainly. So I'm, as one of my other duties, I'm a school representative. So we take comments and concerns. And a number of people that come up to me and say, I failed my course, so I need to reset my course. And I say, well, did you attend your lectures? And they said, no. Well, that might be the reason. So attending your lecture is so you can gain the knowledge and the experience that you're going to need for your assignments or your exams or whatever. The staff are very, very helpful. They've all got real industry knowledge. If you're struggling, if you're falling behind, ask them, and that they will help you. I guarantee that I've done it several times. So my top tips are: you need to attend your lectures. Sometimes you can't for dental or hospital or something like that. Make sure you look at the course that's been recorded afterwards. Don't fall behind at all, and just make sure that you're ready, willing, and able to ask for help. You should never feel embarrassed. There are other people there probably thinking, "Oh, I've got the same question, but a bit too shy to ask." Just get that advice. They're here to help you. All the staff, all the academic staff at the university want one thing: for you to pass with the best possible grade you can do, and that's what they're there for. So part of the lectures and the workshops is to help you do that. So that's why you do need to attend.
Shaquille, any tips here?
Yeah, I'll just say it's all accessible. So as soon as you attend, or if you do happen to miss a lecture, you can log on to Canvas, which is a system we use to upload documents to, and you can view the slide, you can make notes. I would say there's a lot of things in lectures that are said but not recorded on a PowerPoint slide, and there's a lot of discussions, especially in a subject like drama, where you have to work in groups, and if you miss a group session, you could have missed half the work that you've done that session if it's a productive day. So I would say it is a priority. You should make your lectures a priority in your schedule. If not, then you're just letting yourself down, really.
Yeah, thank you. The top tips I would say as well, if you are, I mean, life happens, things get in the way. If you can't catch up, try catch up and try not to fall behind. But if you are having consistent issues where something's happening at home and you're falling behind, seek advice early. The earlier you seek advice, the earlier it can be rectified. Don't get into crisis before you actually seek help. And your student advisors and personal tutors and academic coaches are really brilliant for giving you support. So getting support from the university. Now, there's lots of networks within the university, and these can be found in your course guide, and these can include academic skills workshops. Brilliant if you've been out of education for a while. They'll give you help on referencing, how to write assignments, exam techniques. Personal tutors, they're very good for signposting you to all the different networks that are around the university. Student advisors, problems with your program issues, or you need to do resits or retakes, life does happen. Math support, not everybody is a whiz at maths, and sometimes you'll come across an equation in your course that you've not come across since the age of 16. That happens. The Math Support Centre is really good for, it's non-judgmental. They'll help you with any maths issues that you're having. Also, the Student Wellbeing, Health and Wellbeing Centre, really counselling. Student Union is a very good advice and guidance unit as well, particularly if you're having problems with finances and housing issues. And the academic coaches, if you are having problems with issues within your module content, they're really good to help. Jeff, anything you'd like to add here?
Just echo what you said. So no matter what your issue or what your problem is, the university will be able to help you in some way, shape or form, because they've got so many experienced advisors in so many different areas. So if you do have a problem, don't be afraid to get advice and support for it.
Okay. Shaquille, anything you'd like to add here?
Yeah, I'll just say reach out to someone sooner rather than later. If you're struggling in any capacity, the university staff will be happy to signpost you. And if you're even worrying about something or nothing's particularly happened, go out and seek that advice. You owe it to yourself for sure. I personally did, just because I felt a bit rusty. So you got to put yourself in the mix and ask questions. That's what people are there for. So make sure you get your questions in.
Okay. Jeff, anything you'd like to tell us about what students themselves can access?
Certainly. So again, the university is very, very good for this. As I said earlier, I'm a school representative. So what I do is I look after all of maths and computer science. If a student or a course rep has got an issue or they've got a concern or even good feedback, they can come back to me, and the school reps have regular meetings with the senior academic staff where we can discuss, this course is going really, really well. Have you thought about trying this? Have you thought about doing this? And it's a two-way conversation between the university and the student representatives to make sure that your student experience, how you get on at the university, is as good as it can be. At the end of the day, we all pay a lot of money to come to university, and we need that experience to be good. So there are lots and lots of support networks around. As I said, the course and the school reps are really good. Get to know the students in the year above you or the year below you, because the year above you have been through it. They can give you some tips and advice. And don't feel lonely. So get involved with the student life as much or as little as you like. I'm not particularly a party animal, but I get involved in other things. So you never need to be on your own, apart from if you're isolating because of the pandemic. There are always people there that are willing to help you out, willing to get involved with you, a chess game or a chat or a cup of coffee at Starbucks. It's always use that support network around you, because there are so many people in your situation. They all want to get on, really. So just use them.
Shaquille, have you got any tips here?
So everything that Jeff said, 100%. And one thing that I thought of is join a society. I know they've been struggling a bit at the moment with COVID and stuff, and we can't gain access to some things, but there is a lot of societies that you can join for like-minded people and doing something creative, something that you enjoy. And if it's not out there, create your own society, because that's what I did. And me and 10 of my friends created a society, and we enjoyed it because we're all like-minded and we could work on a project together. So it's stimulating as well as university, and it provides a social support network as well.
I mean, my personal experiences is that I was working plus studying plus family, so I wasn't able to do a lot of the student activities. However, I got involved with being a course rep My course was a new course. It was the online distance learning business management, and it was the first time the university run it. I got involved with being a course rep because it was the first time the course was run. So I'm glad I'm probably guided a lot of how distance learning has now been run. So that was the one thing that I got involved with. I talked to a lot of students who weren't on my course, who were doing absolutely different types of courses. And I actually found their help invaluable. Certainly when I was first starting out, and I'd never done an essay before since I'd finished my BTEC back when I was a 20-odd plus year old. So I found them really useful to see what an assignment looked like, to see what referencing looked like in practice. So I found that useful. So now, this is now over to you. We've talked enough now. So it's now over to you. And are there any questions that you would like to ask us? So I'm looking in the chat briefly. How did you manage lecture times around family commitments? Right, I was distance learning, so basically I managed it when I was, it wasn't set lecture times. So sometimes I did my studying in the middle of the night if I wasn't sleeping very well, or whenever I had spare time. So my mode was different. So Jeff and Shaquille, how did you manage your lecture times around your family commitments?
So if I did have a clash, I mean, I've got a wife, so we made sure that one of us could cover the family commitments. I did as much as possible. So if I didn't have a lecture or didn't have a workshop, I'd make sure I was at home so I could do the family stuff. If I did have a commitment, then I'd make sure my partner could do it. So it's all about that communication again, really. Obviously, if you're on your own, it makes it a bit more difficult. But again, the lecturers and the academic staff are very, very understanding. If you do have a commitment, the lectures are generally recorded, so you can actually catch up afterwards. You can always have a chat with them at a time that's convenient to yourself. So don't let that put you off either.
Okay. Jackie in the background, are there any questions that have come in that you want to answer, you'd like us to answer live?
Yes, so there's about 6 or 7 questions. So the first one is, do you get extra support if you have children?
If it's financial support, if you are using Student Finance England, you can get additional childcare grants to help you with your childcare. Generally, if you're having issues at home, speak to your student advisors, speak to your tutors, because there may be a little bit of flexibility there, that they may be able to do something for you as well. And there's always extenuating circumstances as well that you can use. Life does get in the way of studies sometimes, and the university does understand the challenges that things can happen.
Okay, second one is when someone is saying that they're 21 but they're being classed as a mature student. So I think it's just age related, about 21 and being classed as mature.
Yeah, I think the borderline can be a little bit flexible, so it depends on the course as to whether you're classed as a mature student.
Okay.
So the answer, there is no answer to that one, unfortunately.
You've already touched on this, but Lawrence asked, is there support for students who may struggle with academic side of things, so with practical things such as writing essays, etc.?
Okay, Jeff, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, so there's all sorts of support. I mean, I'm quite poor at maths, so I actually did the maths skills because it really helped me get through one of my modules. So there's English ones, there's maths ones, there's how to write essays, there's plagiarism. So no matter what your issue is, there is some sort of support there, whether a skills workshop to help you overcome that barrier and learn what to do in the future. So yes, there is definitely support there for you in whatever you need.
Shaquille, is there anything you'd like to add to that one?
Not particularly, just reach out because it's all accessible and someone will know a support avenue. So it's all there. No matter what you're struggling with, it is all there. The systems are in place.
When you become a student, you'll see that the academic skills workshops, they're run in the learning centres, and they do run workshops at specific times as well. So go and have a look at the Learning Centre website and you'll see the academic skills support in there. And also, plus you'll see a referencing guide as well. That will become your go-to when you're writing your essays. I personally kept up the electronic version on my screen as I was referencing. I also used something called, there are lots of referencing management software out there, but my one of choice was RefWorks, and that really does take the hard work out of referencing. Jeff and Shaquille, what did you use? What do you use for referencing?
I use Cite Me Right, which again is very useful. So yeah, I've just been doing it literally an hour ago. So yeah, it's quite current.
And Shaquille, what do you use?
Yeah, so for referencing, a little sneaky one, on the library account where you take out your books, if you've taken out a book, you can access your library to see what you've taken out. If you click on the book, scroll down, they have the reference there for you. All you need to do is copy and paste it. That's with books, so it's not that hard actually.
Yeah, we've all got our own little tricks. Jackie, any other questions for us?
Yes. It's primarily, I think it's timetabling. So they're asking about balance between either studying full-time or part-time and having a family and a full-time job. Okay.
Ultimately, the decisions you make as to whether you study full-time and part-time are down to yourself. However, I think a lot of students tend to study full-time and work part-time, or they switch it round, or they work full-time and study part-time. It's whatever they feel they can manage with their own personal life. Shaquille and Jeff, I recognise your circumstances were probably a lot different to mine. So would you like to tell me, would you like to tell the group what you do at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm full-time. The only reason because I was a full-time job, but I gave up the full-time job to go full-time student. I do have part-time jobs that match in, so full-time and part-time jobs at the moment.
Okay. Shaquille, what about yourself?
Yeah, so similar. I did have a full-time job. I gave it up to study a full-time course, but I found on my course, particularly in first year, there was a lot of free time. So I got on the part-time jobs and was just working it. So there is a lot of time sometimes.
I think it depends on your course as well. I was doing a master's, but part of my master's involved placements as well as being on at university. I don't think I could have worked part-time unless I worked part-time at the weekends. I think everybody's different, and you'll find out and you'll have an idea yourself as to what suits your own particular circumstances. Jackie, any other questions?
Yeah, about two more. I think you've already referenced regarding study skills, but someone's asking about the sudden change from working at home life to then going into academic study.
Okay, so is it how, I'm not sure about that question, but is it how we adjust from working to go into full-time study mentally? Yeah, I'll take it at that, but if the person if we've not answered this correctly, do please feel to drop it in the chat. Jeff, how did you adjust mentally from working full-time to studying full-time?
So I tried to keep my work ethics near enough the same. So I was going for a full-time job 9 till 5 to trying to keep it as much as possible. So, studying between 9 and 5 and keeping the evenings and weekends free. Obviously, it does blur a little bit, but I tried to keep that work ethic in because I found it quite useful. Make sure I prioritize all my work, make sure I know when I've got free time, when I've got spare time, make sure I know when deadlines are, and then hand in 2 weeks before the deadline. So I used all the work skills in my educational studies, which I found very, very useful.
Okay. Shaquille, how did you adjust from working full-time to going full-time study?
Yeah, so for me, as I mentioned prior, I really wasn't enjoying work. So for me, coming to university, I actually found it such a breeze. Honestly, like I was working a full-time job, which I hated, and coming to university doing the course that I do, man, I just found it really, I found it really quite not easy, but I did find it quite like I was living life. I enjoyed it, to be honest. So yeah, pretty much.
I think I mean I've worked since the age of 17, so for me to go to full-time study when I did my masters, I treated it as though I was going to work. So that meant I got up, I got dressed, I commuted in just like I'd always had done, and then commuted home. So for me mentally, it was not that much different. And certainly there was placements on my master's course as well. So that was getting up, going out to a placement as well. So I think that's how I treated it, no different as though I was getting up to go to work. Do we have, okay, Jackie, any more?
Just one more. It's just regarding, I guess it's childcare and placements. They didn't say which placements, but if education or nursing, etc. So just asking for what support they can get.
In relation to the placements?
In relation to childcare, if they have placements.
Okay. Usually students will have to source their own childcare providers. I think there's a website. I haven't used it in such a long time. It is no recommendation. It's called www.childcare.co.uk, and that's if you're looking for any childcare providers. And it's a case of sourcing them through yourself. Please note that is not a recommendation. It's probably one I've used in the past when my two were very, very little. There will be, if you're using Student Finance England, there is help towards childcare costs if you get a childcare grant from Student Finance England, but it is means tested on your household income. Jeff, how do you manage your childcare?
I'm quite lucky that I'll either be at home or my wife will be at home, so we just share it. So it hasn't really caused an issue there.
Yeah, my two were, by the time I went into full-time studies, my two were teenagers, so they're fairly self-sufficient at that point. Starting off early when I did my undergraduate degree, they were quite young. They were about 7 years old, but they were at school during the day, and then in the evening I'd be in the house studying with them because I was distance learning as I was doing it, so I was in the house. Any more questions, Jackie, or I think we're now out of time?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I hope that our insights have been really, really useful for you. And Sammy, may I hand over to you?
Of course, yeah. Thank you ever so much for all that real sound advice and guidance. It's great to hear all of your kind of experiences really of studying at university. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. So that brings us to the end of this session. So as I say, thank you to everyone for joining. We hope you found it useful, and if you head to that wlv.ac.uk/open day live page, you can obviously see all the other activities that are taking place between now and 2 p.m. and also if you do want to have follow-up conversations with us around various topics that we've discussed, then again you can chat to us direct via that web page. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Goodbye.
Thank you.